Turnover, new week. Back to work.
You guys gave up 5 plays, I think, of 37 yards or longer. What is the issue when you have so many breakdowns like that? Is it scheme? Is it effort? Is it? How does that happen so frequently?
Depends. Every one of them is different. That's what makes it frustrating. You can pinpoint the problem and narrow it down to 1 or 2 things. You could really focus on that and just say this is what we need to fix. One was a missed tackle on the one long run that broke out. That was, we had a guy basically dead to rights, about a yard or 2 off the line of scrimmage. Had we made our play, we wouldn't even be having that discussion. The long pass where the wide receiver went down the seam, we had a mistake in the execution of the coverage, so that was a different kind of a problem. The one long pass, that they threw to their wide receiver down their sideline in the first quarter, 50-50 ball. Their guy made the play. To their credit, good throw, good catch. So again, all the issues, all the problems, or whatever you want to call them, they're all a little bit different. So again, you just all you can do is try to fix the mistakes, make the corrections, tell guys, this is what you need to do different to have a better outcome, and then wipe the slate clean and move on. That's what we're trying to do.
Coach, after the last few weeks giving up a lot of points, is there kind of a thought to maybe change things up and run more blitzes, scheme a little differently? I mean, from your standpoint in preparation for this week's game.
Well, you have to look at what you got coming up. I mean, if there's a point to do it in this coming game plan, then obviously that's what you're going to try to do. And to go to take your point, what we did at Kansas wasn't really a lot like what we did against Buffalo. There were some changes that were made there. We actually had called pressures more times than what we had the previous weeks. And so even though it might look like it's the same to you from one week to the next, there have been some changes that we've made. Obviously every week you're just trying to put your guys in the best position that you think you can do, for their opportunity to be successful, which is what we try to do. But again, what looks like maybe some of the same every week to the common fan, or maybe you guys sitting there watching the game, there are really some differences there that really have been significant.
Bob, you mentioned blitzing, I think second straight week with no sacks. Do you have to bring more, especially with the press man on the outside, to generate a pass rush at this point?
That depends. Everybody wants to look at the sack number, but if you go back and look at the very first third down of the Buffalo game, we called a blitz. We brought Trevor Morris through the A-gap. The quarterback dropped back and kind of did a 360 in the pocket, saw the pressure, and just launched the ball out over the top of our bench. You're not going to get a sack if a quarterback wants to get rid of the ball that quick. But I think the blitz accomplished what it needed to, which was to get the ball out of his hands. So to sit here and say we're not blitzing or we're not blitzing enough, I guess that's up to the individual's perspective. But we did bring more pressure than we had the previous week, and we got to pick and choose the times to do it. And whether we need to do it more often or not, I think is going to be dependent on one, the completion percentage, and two, whether we feel like we're disrupting the rhythm and the timing of the pass game. Some of the times in looking at the Buffalo game, going into that game, depending on formations and everything, the ball was getting out so quick that it wouldn't have mattered how many guys you brought. You weren't going to get to the quarterback. So there's not a point in bringing 5 or 6 guys, because they're just going to be standing there, turn around, and watch the ball be thrown to somebody. So believe it or not, there is a method to the madness, and a lot of thought goes into it. Again, we're trying to put our guys in the best position that we can, and whether that raises that percentage this week or not, I guess remains to be seen as we get into this particular game plan. But those are the thoughts that kind of the processes and the discussions that we have as we go through it.
Okay, what's your assessment of the play up front? The perception is that you got beat up by Kansas and Buffalo. How do you do you agree with that, and what's your assessment of the play up front?
It depends. We talked about this after the Kansas game. We had 6 run plays that they netted for 200. Don't quote me, but about 220 or 230 yards of rushing, and then they had another 38 snaps that netted them somewhere around about 140 yards of rushing. So, yeah, you could say you got whipped on 6 plays, and yeah, there's a legitimate argument for that. Some of the same kind of things really come into play in the Buffalo game, and this again is what makes it frustrating. You know, we have a defensive call and a play, you know, where we've got things pretty well bottled up at the point of attack. We miss a tackle. There's not a scheme issue there. So if the play breaks out for 50-some yards, that's how you wind up with whatever 300-some yards of rushing that they had. And then, you know, there's some other plays that they had in there too. But again, if you go back and look at the totality of all the run plays that they ran against us, there's a whole bunch of them now where we got no gain, minus yardage plays, a lot of good physical push at the point of attack. So I'm going to say the same thing I said a week ago. It's not all broken. It's broken in places in certain times where guys need to do their job better. We got to coach them better. We got to prepare better. It's all of us. It's a we thing, not any one person. That's for sure. And but to sit there and say that when you look at the film, it's just a complete disaster. No, I don't agree with that.
Anything else?
Okay.
Thanks, Jay.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.